My perspective on relationships is that there is no way out of it. Romantic relationships in particular are ones that we kind of experiment with our personalities with.
I've also had partners, and the relationship wise, I've been in spaces where people prefer silence. How do you work through silence, right? And the best answer to it is that you enjoy it. Don't.
I want to talk about my relationship with people. I think that's a very beautiful thing to write about, and that's something that I connect with the most.
There is very little time to just be, take a pause, listen to your own frequency. I think the pandemic gave us a chance to do that.
Relationships. They're such a core part of all our lives. We spend so much time thinking about them, trying to get into them, trying to get out of them, trying to figure a way to make them work, and really dealing with situations when they actually don't go right. Many of my guests on Take a Pause have spoken about relationships, so many different aspects of all the stuff around them. And we've put together a compilation of some of the most interesting insights around relationships for all of you to dig into on this special masterclass episode of Take a Pause. But before we go dive into that, I want to make sure you hit subscribe and smash that bell icon. If any of these clips resonate with you, make sure you check the show notes because you can go directly into that episode and watch or listen to the entire episode.
I want to talk about my relationship with people. I think that's a very beautiful thing to write about, and that's something that I connect with the most. Dialogues and people talking to each other. A lot of my music has dialogues in it as well, like things that people say to each other and all. I love doing that. So till now, I think I'm gonna do that. But hopefully, I'll maybe someday be able to write about my own relationship with myself and my mind. I would love to write something about that as well, because I think I have a weird mind, like I said, right? So I would love to maybe put it down on a piece of paper and maybe release it someday.
That's the most tricky relationship we all have, right? It's
Yeah,
the
with
relationship with
ourselves.
ourselves.
With ourselves.
It's easier to. I often say this. I'm like at home more than anywhere else. I'm like it's easier for me to have a relationship with people in my life, or even like someone I've met, than for me to actually sit down and try to really understand myself, have a conversation with myself. It's the one thing which, at least for me, scares me the most oftentimes, because you don't know where that conversation goes. Which is why I cannot meditate to save my life. But do you have a conversation with yourself?
Oh, I'm having a conversation with myself right now. it's a constant thing. I think I talk to myself a lot, and I don't particularly say that I have the best relationship with myself, so to speak, but it's getting better. But I do talk a lot with myself. Like it's unhealthy the amount of conversations that I have in my head.
And do you feel that helps you channel and kind of like, because that's also a good mechanism if you can build it for you to kind of get perspective,
Yeah, that's
get
true.
clarity and everything
That's
else.
true. That's true. But it sometimes like works in a negative way as well, because sometimes there's like a lot of negative thought as well. That, oh, you're not good at this, or you're like telling yourself like, why am I telling myself that? Like I should be telling myself positive things, right? But generally, yes. Like whenever I talk to myself, like there are these lists and all that are going on, and okay, this is done, this is done, this is done. Okay, now this is what we have to achieve. Every day I'll keep on telling myself that this is what we have to get, this is what we have to get. Make everybody around us proud and all. And like there's so many conversations going on. Oh, don't say something stupid. Okay, now you can say this, or this will sound funny and all. So much goes on, man. So yeah, it can like really be very negative as well. It can like really pull you back from certain situations where you're not that free. You're constantly like discussing things with yourself and then putting it out in the world. But sometimes it does help as well, yeah, to just uh, put things into perspective and just like figure things out.
I was reading this concept some psychologist was writing about, saying, we often believe that it's our mind talking to us.
Yeah.
But whenever it's negative, he termed it as something called chatter.
Yeah.
Saying over time, you got to realize, is it chatter or is it your mind talking to you? Because the chatter is often like kind of pull you away and giving you all the, telling you can't do this, you can't do that. And the more you realize that it's not one voice in your head, it's actually two voices. It's easier for you to segregate that and figure it out.
I have a very similar idea that I have read about. It's basically, I think there's a loss of control that we have. Our mind will, for example, like you said, that, that resistance that you have to sit down and actually work, but your mind will keep on telling you, it's fine, bro. Like, go out, go for a drive, do something else, don't sit and all. I think that also works. But what I try to do right now is that I'm trying really hard, and it's working out for me as well, is that I'll I'll just tell myself that it's just my mind talking. My body doesn't have to react to that, and like doesn't have to move if I want to eat junk food at night. I'm like having those cravings, but I know for a fact that next day my personal trainer is gonna kill me, for having chips the previous night. I tell myself that okay, I am still in control of my body. I don't have to listen to my mind. It can keep on that chatter thing, like it can keep on going on and on, but I can tell myself that okay, don't move your body, just keep it there, just sleep.
How do you even start one in a world today where it's so much more about the visual? I think it always has been, but I think because of how social media works, it's
Yeah.
about that. So if you feel like, okay, I can't even meet someone,
Yeah.
how does someone even find someone is actually a question I've gotten a lot here. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if there's an answer to that.
I think this question has many answers, but a good way to find someone that stays, maybe something one can focus on also, because you could match with many people, let's say on an online dating app, or meet several people you find attractive at a party. But how are you going to hold a conversation or start a conversation and turn that into a relationship? How do you start a relationship? I think that always begins with authenticity. Like, am I able to be real with you? Am I able to say what I really want from this? Or am I going to do a cookie cutter, tell me your favorite XYZ, and, use some pickup lines here and there, or the list goes on.
Yeah.
So authenticity. What do you think?
I feel you got to look. I agree with what you just said entirely. And I feel you also have to go look for who the person is rather than who you want them to be.
Yeah.
I feel we all go looking for people and we try to say, no, that this person will change into who I want as my partner. And in many cases that does happen, but I feel that if you don't go looking for, okay, they will change and become who I want them to be, and you see, no, they are actually the person I want to be with. I feel that really helps. I think that's the core part to start with. It's like you're not trying to find this idealized version in your head of what your partner is going to be like. But you're going with sync with this person kind of ticks most of my boxes of in reality, not in my own like imaginary head. I'm not doing one like running across in Switzerland scenario in my head. I am going very straight up. This is the person I'm with, and in reality they are who I need. And I can hopefully be the person they need. And to kind of to look at that, for me that has been core to really like at least changing my perception on relationships. And also the fact that your job is not to change other people. Your job is to find someone who you can be with and you guys can change together.
Absolutely.
And I found that is the best way to look at it.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. There's a term for that. It's a growth-oriented relationship where both people believe in wanting to work things out, or they accept that they're flawed beings in general. And then that's the place from where they start. They're open to change.
How has your perspective on love changed?
As I said, I'm in a much more calmer space with even like relationship wise. पहले ना मुझे हर चीज फिल्मी बनाना बहुत अच्छा लगता था. आई एम अ वेरी फिल्मी पर्सन.
इम्तियाज अली वाला स्टोरी.
हाँ, मैं बड़बड़ भी उतनी करता हूँ. तो आई वॉन्ट टू क्रिएट लाइक अ मोमेंट आउट ऑफ मंडेन थिंग्स, है ना. बट आई हैव ऑल्सो हैड पार्टनर्स एंड रिलेशनशिप वाइज आई हैव बीन इन स्पेसेस जहाँ पर पीपल प्रेफर साइलेंस. और जब अचानक साइलेंस आ जाता है, मुझे नहीं पता कि क्या करना है. सो आई थिंक one of my biggest lesson has been how do you work through silence, right? And the best answer to it is that you enjoy it. Don't just either participate with that person, because it has nothing to do with them being angry on you. Sometimes it is.
It definitely is sometimes,
But most of the times people, like, not everyone has to be like you, right? No one has to share the same energy. So I think respecting that everyone comes from a different energy spectrum. You can't also be like कि तुम जब लोगों से मिलते हो तो तुम्हारी एनर्जी कैसे आ जाती है. People, मतलब I have met so many people जो अपनी energies को reserve करके रखते हैं, है ना, कि बहुत ऐसे सिंपल और ऐसे रहेंगे, बट जैसे ग्रुप आते तो बातचीत करनी पड़ेगी यार.
Correct.
तो उतनी एनर्जी रिजर्व्ड है.
No.
कितना बातचीत करना है. तो आई थिंक हाँ, मतलब माई बिगेस्ट लर्निंग विथ रिलेशनशिप इज दैट यू नीड टू रिस्पेक्ट एंड एक्सेप्ट everyone's way of living. Like if you genuinely love them, it's not about just creating these filmy moments, क्योंकि वो magic moments तो रहेंगे यार. आप लाइफ में अगर आप किसी के साथ 20-30 साल निकाल रहे हो, 20-30 साल आप मोमेंट्स नहीं बना रहे हो. ज़्यादातर दिन ऐसे हो गए कि आप उठे, है ना, आप दोनों साथ में नाश्ता कर रहे हो चुपचाप, आप निकल गए काम पर, वो अपना कर रहे, ठीक है. बट फिर ये 3-4 दिन ऐसा होता रहेगा, और एक दिन ना या तो आप डिनर पर चले जाओगे, या तो फिर आप एक कोई सीरीज देख रहे हो, या फिर कोई ऐसे एक बहुत ही स्टूपिड सा जोक आपने क्रैक कर दिया और आप दोनों हंस रहे हो. लाइक वो मैजिक मोमेंट बन जाएगा यार, वो आप याद रखोगे, वो आपका सबकॉन्शियस में रहेगा. तो आई थिंक when we see relationships, it shouldn't be that अब मुझे इसके साथ मज़ा नहीं आ रहा. नहीं आएगा. आप किसी के साथ मतलब आप अपने पेरेंट्स को देख लो, यू लव योर पेरेंट्स, बट क्या आप अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ कॉन्स्टेंटली प्यार में हो?
No, I don't think that's possible.
आप जब बीमार पड़ते हो और माँ को इतना ख्याल आ जाता है कि माँ आपके बाजू में बैठी है, तो सडनली यू फील सो मच लव एंड ऑल्सो द गिल्ट ऑफ नॉट लविंग हर बैक इनफ, right, in that moment.
Yeah.
But the next day you're again fine.
Yeah.
So I think वो moments का आपको, like you have to keep it in mind that most days are mundane, accept it,
Yeah.
and don't try to force entertainment in it.
It's also like, I have this saying na ki the first phase of any relationship is discovery. So you're discovering things, which is why there's excitement. I think the moments you think you're creating a lot of moments on a daily basis because you've just met. Then it has to go to comfort.
Correct.
And comfort might seem ordinary and boring. Like me and my wife Pooja, we were laughing the other day because it was a Sunday and our daughter had gone to a friend's house to play. And our son, who's newborn, was with her mother. And she was sitting on the couch and reading a book. And I was sitting and I was reading something else on a chair. And we sat like that for 1 hour. And then looked at each other and somehow smiled because you're like, that felt like a moment.
Yeah.
But it was comfortable. It's that you got to find comfort. And when you find comfort, you will not say maza nahi aa raha hai, because that that's the life you want to live. Because if you're bungee jumping every day together, even that will become boring.
Correct.
कितना करोगे?
हाँ. एक दिन तो आदत हो ही जाएगी.
Correct. And I feel also with love and relationships, one more thing is that we keep putting this pressure on ourselves कि love needs to be the sole reason for us to find happiness.
Yeah.
कि मतलब we have, like, I need to make you happy, you need to make me happy. Happiness is the core of it. I feel that spoils it, no? Do you agree?
हम क्योंकि फिल्मों पर बड़े हुए, तो हमने हमेशा देखा है कि लड़का लड़की मिलते हैं, बहुत एक्साइटिंग है, जो हम हमारी लाइफ
पहले लड़ते हैं, उसके बाद
पर 3 घंटे में तो पिक्चर खत्म हो जाती है.
Correct.
No one talks about what's happening later.
What's happening after happily ever after?
Exactly. फिर बहुत सारी पिक्चरें बनी वो दिखाने के लिए, जिसमें सिर्फ झगड़े हो रहे हो. मैंने कहा पर इन बिटवीन द हनीमून पीरियड एंड दिस होल फाइट सीन जो होता रहता है, रोज ऐसे झगड़ा हो रहा है, एक दूसरे से उब चुके, उसके बीच में ना बहुत ऐसा लाइक देयर इज लेजीनेस, देयर इज लिटरल लेजीनेस. मैंने रिलेशनशिप्स देखे, इफ आई टू डिफाइन इट, अगर आप हम हमेशा कहते हैं ना कि नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल, तो शुरुआत में नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल है कि आपने शो लगाया पर आप शो नहीं देखोगे.
Correct.
करेक्ट.
Correct.
कुछ और हो रहा है.
हाँ.
फिर धीरे धीरे आप एक स्पेस पर पहुंचते हो जहाँ पे नेटफ्लिक्स एंड चिल इज एक्चुअली बैठे हो और नेटफ्लिक्स देख रहे हो साथ में, है ना. आपकी विश लिस्ट बनती है कि ये वाली सीरीज तो हम साथ में ही देखेंगे,
हाँ.
है ना.
और ये वाला अपने आप देख लेना चलेगा.
करेक्ट. हाँ. और फिर धीरे धीरे यू आर लाइक, अरे मैंने वो देख ली, हाँ ठीक है कोई दिक्कत नहीं. तो यू रीच दैट पॉइंट ऑफ कंफर्ट जहाँ पर आपको एक दूसरे से ये एक्सपेक्टेशन नहीं हम ये साथ में ही देखेंगे या वैसे ही करना है. यू फाइंड रिस्पेक्ट फॉर ईच अदर्स टाइम एंड यू आर लाइक, हाँ तुम जैसे रहना चाहते हो अपने आप रहो, मैं जैसे रहना चाहती हूँ मुझे रहने दो. बट वेन वी आर टुगेदर एंड लाइक देयर इज दिस इक्वेशन, तब है ना बस वो प्यार महसूस होना चाहिए. आई थिंक टू फील लव इज नॉट to express it through words and everything. It's just to be beside each other in times of happiness, in times of need. और वो बहुत बार सिर्फ एक हग होता है, आपको कुछ बोलने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, आपने बस ऐसे हग कर लिया ना, इंसान समझ जाता है कि आपको कोई दिक्कत है या वो आपको हक कर रहे हैं क्योंकि they sense that you are not fine right now. So I think that's also love.
How we live our lives, how our relationships function, how everything else. Do you feel it's this period? Because I know that my marriage with Pooja is the strongest it's ever been. When you were saying this, I'm like, that's exactly what happened. The last 3 years have been the strongest period of our marriage. Do you feel it's also because you genuinely sat down and you weren't? I think the world said you can't go meet them, you have to be at home. It was just that. You just had to sit with each other and have that conversation. Do you think it was that for you?
Absolutely. I think we constantly talk about there's so many distractions living in a city like ours. And even if you aren't busy, like career wise, you're busy, man. Like everybody is just busy. It's a circus. And I think the pandemic helped you just find, firstly, your own inner frequency. How do I even sort of meet my partner's frequency if I can't tap into my own? And that has been my greatest struggle in a city like ours, in a profession which is ours, where success takes you to many places which people want you to go to. Reality भी कर लो, नाच भी लो, डांस शो भी कर लो, शादी में भी आ जाओ. And one part of your ambitious mind says, हाँ हाँ करना है यार, इसीलिए तो यहाँ आए थे, पैसे तो बनाने हैं, of course. The other part of your mind says, no, but that's not what I want to do. And in that jostling, and whilst you're married, you have a set of like family, you have friends, you have people you want to meet. There is very little time to just be, take a pause, listen to your own frequency. I think the pandemic gave us a chance to do that. There was no help at home also. She'd just, by great good design, she'd just gone to see her unwell son. And we were left to our own devices. We were cooking, cleaning, taking care of our parents on both sides, exercising, spending a lot of time together, and just I felt in the truest sense we found connection like never before.
Yeah, same here. Because Sunday took away, it was a reset. It was a reset to say that you might have been living your life a certain way, you might have been dealing with any relationship you have, any professional thing you had a certain way. And it just reset everything and said, what's essential to you in your life? And you suddenly looked at many things you would spend your time doing, saying, I didn't actually have to do those things. Like you said, right? The FOMO-ness went away. It's coming back. It's definitely come back in many ways, I think, across the world. For me, I have to stop myself now because now the world's open. You can go to these things. You can, but it's just that you got to wake up and say, is this what's essential for me? And I think it's just that just being able to be open and just genuinely how to again say authentic. I hope you enjoyed this compilation masterclass of insights around relationships. If any of these insights really resonate with you, make sure you let us know in the comments. And we're going to do a bunch more of these. So you got to tell us which aspects you want us to make these masterclasses on. And before you go, I want to make sure you hit subscribe and smash that bell icon. See you in the next episode of Take a Pause with me, Varun Duggirala.